and let us all do we can to build a better future.
All right, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Tucker Carlson's triggering people again. Goodness gracious, Cretaceous, what did he do this time? Tucker Carlson reviews Putin interview and reveals what radicalized him. All right, so Tucker Carlson went to a World Government Summit in Dubai. Dubai. Following his 2-hour interview with President Vladimir Putin, woogie boogie boogie liberals, in Moscow, U.S. journalist Tucker Carlson opened up about his experience at the World Government Summit in Dubai. In an hour-long interview with TV presenter, sorry about that, Ahmad Iladin Adib, Carlson addressed why the conversation with Putin did not touch on certain topics, how the U.S. political establishment had reacted to it, and why Washington has failed to understand Moscow, among other things. And probably this is the one thing that's been triggering so many liberals, so many people. But I have to agree with him on this one. The shout out to Jackson Hinkle for getting this little clip right here. Tucker Carlson says Moscow is much cleaner and safer than any major city in the U.S. I entirely agree. I will speak about my own experience in 2020 when I was last in Japan. Tokyo, Hiroshima, and Kyoto were the most well-organized, clean cities I've ever seen. The transportation is on point. Public transportation, efficient, everything about it. All right, and I love Chicago. This is my city. 5 generations deep in this city, okay? But I got to tell you, there's a lot of things wrong.
What was radicalizing, very shocking and very disturbing for me was the city of Moscow, where I'd never been, the biggest city in Europe, 13 million people. And it is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea. My father spent a lot of time there in the 80s when he worked for the US government and barely had electricity. And now it is so much cleaner and safer and prettier aesthetically. Its architecture, its food, its service than any country, city in the United States that you have to, and this is non-ideological. How did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life. And if you can't use your subway, for example, as many people are afraid to in New York City because it's too dangerous, you have to sort of wonder, like, isn't that the ultimate measure of leadership? And that's true, by the way, it's radicalizing for an American to go to Moscow. I didn't know that, I've learned it this week, to Singapore, to Tokyo, to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Because these cities, no matter how we're told they're run and on what principles they're run, are wonderful places to live.
They are. And I can speak from my firsthand experience of being to Tokyo, of being to Kyoto, of being to Hiroshima. And yes, even if I want to roll back my memory way back to 1998 when I first went to Japan and saw the city of Yokohama. A lot of these cities are cleaner, more efficient, more on point. And it's humiliating. And in comparison to our airports, we are light years behind everybody else. O'Hare, Midway here in Chicago. If you're a Chicagoan, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about in regards to O'Hare Airport. Now I want to pull up this clip right here. Tucker, I think the current administration is very obvious. Is very obviously incompetent, and that the president is senile. Everyone knows it, and has been confirmed this week. Just another thing to trigger the liberals.
I want to live in a free country. I was born in one, and I'm going to do whatever small thing I can do to maintain, the society that I love.
You are known to be pro-Republican Party, right wing of the Republican Party. This is what they claim. They said first you've been a Democrat and then became a Republican. Okay. Or you are known to be pro-Trump, anti-Biden. What is truthful in this? And you went to Putin because you are pro-Trump and anti-Biden?
My views are not very interesting. I'm not sure how I'd characterize them. They're changing as quickly as the world itself is changing. And as a matter of principle, I think that, that your views should change when the evidence changes.
Case in point, when Jimmy Dore from the great city of Chicago hosted a Jimmy Dore show, changed Tucker Carlson's mind about the crisis and situation impacting Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Okay? He changed his mind. Tucker Carlson realized, oh, wow, I didn't really look at this perspective before. And yes, I believe in speaking to libertarians and conservatives, socialists and Greens and everything else. You got to change your opinion. Now, no matter what Tucker says here, you know what the liberal establishment media system is going to do. They're going to keep on saying that, oh, he's a Putin puppet, that he's going to be the vice president for Donald Trump. Well, first of all, proof and evidence. Same way they attacked Tulsi Gabbard. All right, what? She's a Assad stooge and what? She's a Putin puppet too, and she's going to run third party. I remember in 2020, so many media outlets were saying that Tulsi Gabbard was going to run as a third-party candidate, and that never happened. Or that she was going to be part of Trump's administration, and, oh, wait, that didn't happen. None of that happened. None of that happened. Show me your proof. Show me the proof that Tucker is X, Y, and Z, liberal media. Or are you upset that he's able to have a large and very popular platform, that he's able to bring in the views, and he's able to run his show however which way he wants? So he could change his views on everything, okay? There's some things I'm going to agree with him with, and there's going to be some things that I won't agree with him with. But guess what? When I host this show, I am willing to bet so much that there are things I say on this show that some of y'all agree with, and some of y'all disagree with. I get messages all the time and emails from people who are either libertarian or Trump supporters say, hey, I agree with you on this, or I don't agree with you on this one. I like your show, but whatever, X, Y, and Z, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's how the world works. And I'm pretty sure when you guys have conversations with your friends and family members, not all of you are going to agree. And I'm pretty sure in the comment section too, you guys have disagreements. But that's how the world works. It's always been this way. And the liberal media want to pretend that this is shocking and brand new. And look, how dare Tucker Carlson interview Putin, even though there were other people who interviewed Putin. And dare I say it, controversial statement in a 3, 2, 1. Corporate media interviewed far more evil, vile tyrants and dictators and warlords than Putin. Did that awaken you, liberals? Does that put you out of your safe space? Because it should.
Assumptions that you had in the past are proven wrong. That has happened to me virtually every month of my life. If you pay close enough attention, you can rate your own performance, just as if you're betting on sports. You know, I lost that one. And when you do, when it turns out that the things you thought were true were lies, you should admit it. So what are my views? I'm not certain. Tell the truth is my main view, and I plan to do that to the best of my ability. So Trump played no role in this whatsoever. There's obviously an election in my country coming to fruition in November. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think that the current administration is very obviously incompetent, and the president is senile. That's not an attack. Everyone knows it.
That's not an attack either. No, I have to agree. Yes. I have to agree. Yes, there's something wrong with Biden. If he's not senile, then then it's early onset. All right. And I'm being generous with that one. But how can we all not look at Biden and wonder, why isn't anyone putting a stop to this? You know, I see in the comment section below, some of you share stories about you being a caretaker or knowing people who are caretakers. And it's a tough job, folks. It will break you sometimes. It will burn you out. There's long-term recovery from dealing with that kind of stuff. And the fact that there's no one there really looking out and wondering, why are we having this old man run for president? He's 81 years old. 81. Did anyone consider to say, stop, please? But the answer is no, because they got to make money. And plus, hey, what's better, having a president that might question things, or either that having a president that's a good biddable puppet? But then again, it does call into question, who is really running the country? We all thought it's the president. I mean, we remember the mythology, the stories that the leader, the king, is the one who roars with like a mighty lion to lead the people. In some cases, throughout history, that is true. We've seen many great leaders. We've read about many great leaders. But like with all empires and kingdoms and nations, eventually said leader, emperor, king, president, prime minister, loses that position and, well, something else is running the country then, or nation.
It has now been confirmed, I would say, this week. In the report that you're all familiar with, but and that's very sad. But it had sort of nothing to do with the interview. I wanted to interview Putin because He's the leader of a country that the U.S. government is sort of at war with, though not in a declared way.
I want to pull up this other video here, too. Now, this is from Jackson Hinkle. Thank you so much, Jackson. Tucker Carlson says the United States is evil for not demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, he's going to use a father analogy. And I understand where he's coming from with it. When you see two kids fighting, you're not going to do what Homer Simpson does and says, fight, 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 fight for the love of your parents. No, you're going to be a rational person and break it up as best as you can. Okay. You want to break up the fight. That's what you want to do. And in theory, the United States does have the power to tell Israel to stop this. But because we have money in politics, AIPAC is the one paying off our politicians to shut up. Let's go and pull up this video here.
How on earth the United States of America is vetoing the stoppage of fire? How a country would veto not to continue war? How somebody is against stopping a war?
The United States is, for this moment, is the most powerful country in the history of the world. So if you were to frame this in terms we're all familiar with, which are the most basic terms, the terms of the family, the United States would be dad, would be the father. And the father's sacred obligation is to protect his family and to restore peace within his walls. So if I come home, I have 4 children, if I come home from work and 2 of my kids are fighting, what's the first thing I do, even before I assess why they're fighting?
Kai McDougal says, LOL, you got to pick the strongest kid. That's what Homer would do. I'll never forget that episode. The classic Simpsons from the 90s when Bart and Lisa were on 2 opposing hockey teams and was found out when Marge was trying to break up the fight between Lisa and Bart. Homer came running in and says, your 2 teams are fighting. Fight for the love of your parents. And it was kept on flicking on the light off. Fight, 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 fight. Anyways.
Fighting before I gather the facts and know what's happening.
I stop the fight.
I stop fighting.
Yes.
So if I come home and I have 2 kids fighting and I say, go, beat the crap out of them, I am evil. Because I violated the most basic duty of fatherhood, which is to bring peace. Because I have the power. I'm the only one who can bring peace. And so if you see a nation with awesome power abetting war for its own sake, you have a leadership that has no moral authority, that is illegitimate. And I mean that too. I'm not even referring to any specific region or conflict. I mean,
to quote Jimmy Dore, we are the children of alcoholics. That's who we are.
Generally. And I'm deeply offended by that, deeply. And it's something that I try to express, and I'm often called a traitor for saying that. It's the opposite. I say that because I believe in the United States. I think it has been a morally superior country. And if we allow our leaders to use our power to spread destruction for its own sake, that is shameful. It's a binary, okay? It's a black and white. It's a 0 and a 1. You are either creating or you're destroying. You're improving or you're degrading. And that's how you know whether something is good or bad, whether it's virtuous or evil. If you just judge the...
Now, I think it's a little bit cartoonish to think that our country is morally superior, okay? Because we have done our fair share of crimes, of enslavement, of genocide, of lack of representing or either at acknowledging people's sovereign rights. We, like any other nation, have done our fair share of vile, dubious things. To be fair, yes, we've done some great things, but we've done some bad things too, like any nation. There isn't any pure white city on the hill. That's what you tell kids at story time before they're about to go to sleep. That's you tell them. It's that reassuring dream. I'm pretty sure the Romans said that to their kids. The Mongols said that to their kids while they were riding horseback and laying siege to cities. Shout out to Genghis Khan and his fantastic friends. Every empire, every nation has said that, yes, we are morally superior. It's human nature to think that your colors, your flag, your station is the best. It's just how we operate.
The fruits. By its fruits, you will know it. And I'm very distressed and concerned that we are entering an era where this awesome force for good is instead being used for evil.
Evil, 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 evil. And I'm asked, what great things have we accomplished? Well, I'm looking at all of you. All of you. You're that great accomplishment. And I think now as people are waking up, we can do great things. We just got to step up. I want to play this other video here too. Let's pull this up here. And I want to give a shout out to the Vigilant Fox. Thank you for this.
Why now? Well, I've been trying for 3 years to do this interview.
And this is in regards to trying to speak to Vladimir Putin.
The U.S. government prevented me from doing it by spying on my text messages and leaking them to the New York Times. And that spooked the Russian government into canceling the interview. So I've been trying to do this, but my country's intel services were working against me illegally. And that enraged me because I'm an American citizen. I'm 54. I pay my taxes. I obey the law. And there was no expectation in the America that I grew up in that my government and its intel services, NSA and CIA, which were always outwardly focused on our foreign enemies, would be turned inward against American citizens. And I'm shocked by that, and I'm infuriated by that. And so once I discovered that that was happening, and I confirmed it was happening, and they admitted that they did it, then I was totally determined, monomaniacally dedicated to doing this interview, not simply because I want to know what Vladimir Putin is like and what he thinks about a war that is resetting the world and really gravely damaging my country's economy, but also because they told me I couldn't on the basis of illegitimate means and for no really clearly stated justification. And I thought that can't stand.
And look, that's his right. He has when he was with Fox News, it was his right to conduct an interview with whoever he wanted to conduct an interview with. And I can relate to this because I've been told by people, don't interview libertarians, don't interview Greens, don't interview these activists, don't interview these people, don't have this person on your show, don't talk to this person. And I'm like, who the hell are you to tell me who I can and can't do? There's usually those armchair general people. And I've dealt with them way back in 2017 and going on forward. How dare you speak to this person? Why are you talking to this person? Well, because, hey, it's called having interesting guests on your show. It's called having great conversations. It's show running 101. It's what you're supposed to do. When you run a show, when you have a program, you bring on guests. And of course, it was Tucker's responsibility with Fox News to interview people, front card people. And at the time, he was trying to interview Putin. And the U.S. government was saying no. Who are they to tell him that he can't do that when we've had other world leaders do that? Other world leaders being interviewed by other journalists, not just only on Fox News, but throughout the entire spectrum of the corporate media. And people interviewed Putin before then too. So again, it makes no sense whatsoever to control someone in regards to what they want to do. So he did the interview, and yes, people are still upset about it. Give it 2 weeks. We're all going to find something new to yell at. In 2 weeks, something new will come up. In 2 weeks, something will have us all forget that Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin. It'll be forgotten. It'll be brought up from time to time, but that's about it.
I want to live in a free country. I was born in one, and I'm going to do whatever small thing I can do to maintain, the society that I love.
So what can we take away from this? Well, these are just highlights of Tucker Carlson in Dubai talking about his interview with Vladimir Putin. I do encourage all of you to see the full interview in its entirety. And that way all of you can make your own decisions. And I'm pretty sure all of you will find the clips on social media as well. But it's important for you to make your own decision and to come up with your own conclusions about why, sorry, excuse me for that. Why we need to break out this mindset of, oh, how dare you interview this person or how dare you talk to this person? We live in a society. We have a right to speak out, but also we have a right to criticize ourselves too. When you have Tucker talking about why, okay, and again, Moscow, I'm pretty sure every city has its problems. Yes, and I'm talking about my experience also in Tokyo too. I'm pretty sure that there are some bad parts of Tokyo. Now, I did not see them. But from my firsthand experience walking around the numerous districts from Shinjuku to Minato and a few other districts in Tokyo, I was more or less impressed at how organized, clean, and efficient everything was. Do all these major cities in comparison to American cities have their problems? Yes, absolutely. But when we look at America's crumbling infrastructure, we really have to ask ourselves, how did it get this way? And why is it like this way? You know, I joke about this at a few parties I go to, because when people ask, like, hey, I heard you've been to Japan, I would like to understand a little bit more about it. I joke about when I first arrived and how just happy and great things looked. And maybe it just was my euphoria of just being in another country. But coming back after being on the bullet trains in Tokyo, being on the bullet trains in Kyoto and Hiroshima and all the other public transportations, and when I was on my way back home, getting on the Blue Line CTA, it was such a depressing major downgrade. It was humiliating. It was just so inferior. And so when Tucker says, hey, our cities look like crap, our airports look like crap in comparison to other cities around the world, we as Americans should be demanding more. We should be demanding more from our leaders. But our leaders do not like us, they do not think about us, and they don't respect us. You think that they're going to go through the same system in regards to traveling like you guys do? No. And while I have my disagreements with Tucker Carlson, he has a right to interview whoever he wants on his show, just like I have the right to interview anyone on my show too. Because that's the whole point of doing a program like this. We give our commentary, our analysis, our point of view and perspectives, and I have to bring on people with different perspectives and points of view, because that's just how the world works. And when I'm 6 feet under in the ground, guess what? People are still going to disagree with each other, but people should still talk to each other. And hopefully we wake up sooner rather than later about this. And maybe this 2024 election cycle will be that moment when people wake up. Maybe. Or not.